everybody. In this video, we are going to evaluate the expression below given that the sine of u is equal to 3 over 5 with angle u, you know it's an angle because we're taking the trig of it, angle u existing somewhere between pi over 2 and pi, which implies quadrant 2, and cosine of angle v equals negative 5 over 6 with v, the angle v, existing between pi and 3 pi over 2, which implies quadrant 3. The expression we need to evaluate is we need to evaluate cosine u plus v, and we're going to use angle sum identity to figure that out. And first thing I'm going to do two things right now. One thing is I'm going to write out what this would expand into with the angle sum identity. You do not distribute cosine. If you do, you get no credit. No one ever showed you that. You're making that up. Why would we even spend time on a lesson if that's all you did, right? Like, you know you're being ridiculous and lazy when you just do that, right? If not, you do now. So let's write down what that would be with the identity. So we have cosine of u plus v equals cosine, co-buddies, co-workers, cosine and cosine together, O, opposite sine, sine and sine together for the S. Remember, little trick, cosine u, cosine v, minus opposite, sine u, sine v. In that next step, just to get us ready, cosine, sine will not be in the next step. We will have ratios. These ratios will represent some adjacent over hypotenuse situation, and these ratios will represent some opposite over hypotenuse situation. Now, next thing I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to draw out each of these two situations. Let's start with this one right over here. Pi over 2 and pi is giving us sort of like the boundaries of where I'm drawing. So this is pi over 2, right? If this is the initial position, we start here, it's 0. We swing around, right? Pi over 2 and pi are right there. And my angle, u, terminates in there somewhere, but we always use our reference triangle. So this I'm going to call u sub r, but we use that to figure out the sine, the cosine, the tangent of u. Now it says sine is 3 over 5, so opposite over hypotenuse. This missing side right here is part of a Pythagorean triple, so that's going to be negative 4. 4 would make it the Pythagorean triple, 3, 4, 5, and, sorry, I'm just gonna, there we go, maybe a little too bright. 3, 4, 5, but it's to the left, so we make it negative. And while we're at it, let's just also sine u, cosine u, tan u. I know we don't necessarily need all of them, but let's just write them all down. Sine is 3 over 5. In fact, that was given to us. Cosine of angle u is negative 4 over 5. Tangent of angle u, you could think of as 3 over negative 4, but we've talked about this already. We move that negative to the top whenever necessary, and we negative 3 over 4 as well. That's also fine. Then I still need to draw, that's just the orange. I'll color code them in a second, but I'm going to do this green scenario with angle v. And as we can see, and as I stated already, that represents quadrant 3. So, katoa. So 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. Angle v swings around from initial position. I mean, not necessarily, yeah, it has to go that way based on the details given. So if that's v, well, this angle in here is v sub r, r for reference, and it was negative 5 over 6, and that was the cosine. So adjacent over hypotenuse. So negative 5 represents this side right there over 6. Now this is not a Pythagorean triple. That is not negative 4. It's not always just 3 numbers in a row. Okay. you have to do Pythagorean theorem this time to figure out the missing side. So I'll call it y because it's showing over x down y, you know. So I'm only going to use positive 5 squared, so length of it is 5. And even if you use negative, it's going to square, become positive, so whatever. Plus y squared equals 6 squared. The hypotenuse has to be the c squared. If you don't do that, you're going to get the wrong answer. That's not a trick or a shortcut to just stick things where you want to stick them, okay? You got to follow the rules, guys. Then 25, y squared, 36. Subtract that 25. Y squared is 11. Take the square root of both sides. This plus minus, this is where it counts, you know. Could be positive or negative square root 11. Since we're going down, 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 it's negative square root of 11. Okay, now I guess I could squeeze a smidge more on this paper, maybe? Push my luck here, huh? Sine v, cosine v, and tan v. Well, cosine of v was given, that was negative 5 over 6. Sine of v is opposite over hypotenuse, so it's negative square root 11 over 6. And tangent, is going to be opposite over adjacent, so maybe at first you write negative square root 11 over negative 5, but you think to yourself, I'm no dummy, that's positive, because a negative over a negative is positive. So we have tan, I'm circling it because it's blending with that, and then we have sine and cosine as well. Let's just, whoop, there we go. All right, just because like I said, I don't want it to squash. Now we fill in everything we got. So cosine u, cosine v, cosine u, cosine v. We're going to have negative 4 over 5, negative 5 over 6, sine u, sine v. 3 over 5, negative root 11 over 6. Now, even if you could reduce these 5s, reduce the 4 and the 6, don't do it. Because the way it is right now, you're going to have a common denominator on both parts, and that's going to come in handy. So you could kind of clean it all up and write it over one denominator. Otherwise, you're going to simplify it, and then if you want to bring it all together, you're going to need to find a common denominator. It already has one. So what I'm saying, don't mess with reducing just yet. Next step, cosine of u plus v is negative times negative is positive, so 20 over 30. Negative, negative will become plus 3 root 11 over 30. And last but not least, they're both over 30. I'm just going to write over 30 once. And then you can't combine them because they're not like terms. All right, 3 root 11 and 20, they don't combine, but you just write them as they're added together over one common denominator that they share, which was 30. So there we go. You should have gotten that as your answer. I hope that you got the same answer. I hope you understand what we did here. And I hope you feel confident about this. So you got the right answer, put thumbs up. You did not get the right answer, put thumbs down. If 20, the 3, and the 30, 1, 2, 3 parts all had a common factor similar to when you did quadratic formula, you would be able to reduce this. But if not, it is what it is, you leave it alone, okay? So again, hope you did well. I know that I have another example, same style problem to do, and I will attach that somewhere, either at the end of the video or in the description box below. See you in the next example.